For weeks now, I've been having people telling me they want me to make a melee build for Devastator. I've been racking my brain trying to figure out the exact right combination to do for this. Obviously, with the concussor set coming out in Worldslayer, that was one of the obvious things to do, but honestly, concussor set is pretty bad. It is a really weird piece of armor that requires you to get hurt to do damage. It also requires like your armor to be high to do damage, and it also like depreciates over time. It's just really not that good and not really that great for overall melee build. Also requires golem, which I really don't enjoy golem for the melee setup just because it's just kind of a waste of an overall piece of mod and also part of your skills. But with working with different content creators like TVJ Quag Code Emergency, I was able to create this really juicy setup that's able to do crazy AoE damage and just absolutely demolish the battlefield. Again, make sure you're checking out these homies. Quag was already working on a setup pretty similar to this, and when we were talking about it and stuff like that, I decided to do it for myself, put a little bit of my own spin on it with a couple different pieces of gear, and then also talking again with Code Emergency, some things with weapon mods as well. So make sure you're checking them out. Make sure you're stopping on by my stream as well. We're always talking about all these different builds, having a lot of people giving feedback. So if you're interested in build crafting and stuff like that, make sure you're stopping on by twitch.tv/Byrdman778. Make sure you're giving a thumbs up on this video as well, and let me know what some other setups that you're interested in seeing. And also make sure you follow me over on Twitter, twitter.com/Byrdman778 for all the bad memes, announcements for the channel. We have some cool partnerships coming up here soon, so make sure you are swinging on by to check those out. But let's talk about this super juicy setup and how you get it going. So first, let's start with our skill tree. We're obviously doing a melee build, so melee scales with anomaly. So the bottom part of this tree is going to be our main focus. Obviously, we need to get all these anomaly reservoirs throughout the tree here just for the extra 50% increase to our anomaly damage. We're not using any seismic skills, so there's no need to go into the endless tremors within this tree. So we're going to go into the rejuvenation for the skill life leech. So that's going to be anything with like our abilities, our status power, or melee as well will give us healing. So this is a pretty beneficial perk to have just for all around healing. Obviously, we're going to go into Paladin for the extra anomaly power that we're going to get 45% for 10 seconds whenever we activate our Reflect. Because Reflect works the way it is, we're able to just flick it real fast, activate Paladin and this other perk that we're going to talk about here in a second, and get that boost and immediately have it on cooldown to use. Now, do know you can hold it up and like shield yourself if you need to. This works really well with Ockrail with the projectiles that they throw. So maybe just use it then, but regardless, again, it's mainly going to be utility skill for activating these abilities. We have to go into Unending Watch just because to get to this perk right here, Strong Armor the Anomaly. Using our class melee will give us more resistance, piercing 15% for each enemy hit for 10 seconds. So definitely endless mass a bunch of enemies into a group, punch real quick, and then you get a huge boost to your anomaly damage. Obviously, we want to go into that pure anomaly for the immediate resistance piercing it gives us. It's very beneficial. I go into Stone Circle, this Colossus, Heirloom Armor, and then this Havoc, mainly just to get to this perk right here, Champion. Allows us to also increase our weapon damage by 45% for 10 seconds. Now, this is specifically is going to work with a skill that we're going to have on one of our weapons, so I'll get back to this in a second, but do know this is an absolute must. It just absolutely juices your firepower and your anomaly power for this class. But we're obviously going to move into Red Rivers, just to kind of get throughout the tree, and for the extra bleed duration, this anomaly reservoir. Strong Armor the Anomaly for the extra class melee damage, actually doubles it, so we want more damage out of this as much as humanly possible. Executioner is a must, 20% extra damage to enemies that are below 30% health. Definitely beneficial for a melee skill build that's already going to have to, do a little bit more to get some juice. And then finally, this other rejuvenation, mainly just to get down to skilled sentry. We really want this just because whenever we activate a skill that includes our melee, it's going to give us armor and resistance 20% for 10 seconds. It doesn't stack, but we're able to consistently make sure this stays active and that we're staying a little bit juicy. With our packs tree, I go top packs tree, mainly just because I like the flow of how this works with our overall setup. But obviously we want to go into hunting season, mainly just to start off the tree. I go into harden just so we get the extra damage mitigation for all the enemies within a radius around us. It goes up to 10%, so definitely helps with also that skilled sentry, our resistances, damage mitigation, a lot of stuff just to kind of give us that basic tankiness that we would really want. Obviously finishing touch we have to go into, but we're going into armor division. Immediately gives us 20% extra armor piercing, and then the higher our armor piercing, the faster the cooldown is for our kinetic skills. So that's going to be our gravity jump and our endless mass for this setup. And obviously against devastating odds works really well for this, because whenever we hit 3 enemies with a kinetic skill, it gives us 30% armor piercing, which is immediately going to increase those cooldowns for us, which is really nice. But if for by some chance we only hit 1, or it's just pretty much just like 2 and under, we are able to get critical shots for 4 seconds on all of our shots, which is really nice for our offhand weapon. I'll be talking about here with Mage's Rage, but at least for now, just know this is definitely beneficial. If you want, you can go into the bottom tree here. I've done this before as well to get Earth and Shell just for all around survivability, but know you can fill yourself out a little bit better by going top tree. Personally, for me right now, where I'm at with my ascension levels, I am pretty high. So I'm starting to get everything pretty filled out with the 2 main trees, I would say over here, Anomaly and Brutality. But absolute must, I would say, is armor piercing, our armor, and then our anomaly power. Definitely go into some weapon damage because it's going to naturally boost up your firepower as well. But pretty much it's up to you. This is just what I like to use. For this setup, we are going to be using Endless Mass, obviously, so we're able to group up enemies. The set we are using immediately goes with Endless Mass. It's complemented by it, so obviously it's something beneficial to use. We like to use Reflect Bolts, again, for the activation of Paladin and Champion, and then Gravity Leap for just all-around debuff application with Despair and just damage. It's really great, and it's great for movement. I mean, the fact that I'm able to fly across the battlefield to a different enemy and then fly right back is really cool. I just really enjoyed this setup. When it comes to the gear that we have for this setup, it's a little deceiving for the transmog that I've done, but this is the Evening Star. It's one of the newest weapons added in Worldslayer, and it comes with the mod Death Renown. This is a huge mod for this entire setup. You absolutely must have it. It reads, when 2 of your equipped skills are on cooldown, receive a 236,000 firepower bonus. That's obviously based on your, level, apocalypse level, all that stuff, fun stuff, but as long as you have like 2 things, so let's say for this setup, I have my Endless Mass and my Gravity Leap on cooldown, I'm able to get a firepower bonus of 236,000. Otherwise, I receive a 213,000 bonus to my anomaly power. This is huge because one of the mods that we have on our armor is going to help get boosted by firepower. So constantly having that is great. And then just having that basic anomaly power is also great, just because, again, melee scales with anomaly power. It just helps it all around. As well as having the anomaly enhancement perk on this. Increases our firepower based on a 40% of our anomaly power. So again, we have that mod. It does better whenever we have high firepower. We really need that. But I also have on here a Death Shield, just because overall it's really nice just to be able to swap to that, get some Mage's Rage, get the Fortress mod off, and you just get a little bit of a damage boost. But for the most part, you want to be holding on to this Evening Star, or at least a weapon that has Death Renown and Anomaly Enhancement. I would definitely say it would benefit to also have, Fortress on said weapon or Mage's Rage as well. When it comes to our gear, again, I transmog everything because I think it's a pretty cool thing to do, stuff. But I am using the Marshall set. The Marshall set is just absolutely busted. I think with Worldslayer coming out and the fact that a lot of these percentage mods like Tainted Blood, Shatter, Euthanizer, and all that stuff had gotten nerfed so bad, everyone's focusing into just boosting firepower or anomaly power. And the Marshall set definitely benefits from that, just because it helps boost both those things with our Endless Mass. Now, first off, it has Anomaly, Cooldown, Skilled Life Leech, and immediately comes with the helmet perk of Wide Horizons. It increases the range of Endless Mass, so it grabs more people. I added Brawl in there for the extra 100% damage to our class melee, and mine came with Anomaly Echo. So again, it's going to boost both my firepower and my anomaly power whenever I activate a skill. Again, a very beneficial skill to have for this entire setup. And then again, the Marshall set reads, Endless Mass pulls enemies and causes them to share 40% anomaly damage and 30% weapon damage for 5 seconds. They're going to glow like this, like light blue, and then that tells you essentially that they have that debuff on them. But this is just absolutely insane. It's essentially kind of like having ultimate damage link, but just on a skill. that already is just pretty juicy all around. So we really like this. Moving on to my chest piece, it has anomaly power, cooldown, skill, life leech. I left on the perk high intensity. Anomaly damage against afflicted targets is increased by 30% for 6 seconds. So again, more debuffing on targets is really nice. We really like that. But we really like the next perk, Magma Shelter. This is the perk that I've been talking about for boosting our firepower. Your melee skill creates an explosion, dealing 484,000 damage based on your firepower within 2-meter radius. And there's a space available. It creates a cover made of magma. It is so freaking cool. I can't tell you how many people have come to my stream and be like, what are you done to Earthquake? Because it kind of has the same animation. I'm like, I've done anything to Earthquake. This is Magma Shelter. It's absolutely cracked. That AoE that it does is absolutely insane. Having Death Renome on, it's going to increase it. I get you this usually up to 1.6 million while I'm just like fighting around and stuff like that. So it's absolutely insane. I really like it. It's super fun. And again, this is one of those mods that TBJ Quag recommended for this setup. He just, dude, he's such a smarty pants. Again, make sure you're checking him out. He's a wonderful Wonderlands creator, Borderlands creator, and he dabbles in Outriders every once in a while. So make sure you tell him on his stream to play more Outriders. We really like it. But on the final perk, I have Damage Absorber, increased my armor by 275,000, resistances by 10%. Really great for just overall survivability with this setup. Next up on my legs, I obviously have Tainted Blood because we're constantly meleeing. We're going to be inflicting bleed all the time. It's good to have that percentage on there. And then I added Untamed Power, using a skill which includes our melee. Does a AoE of 363,000 damage to enemies in the 5-meter radius around you. The damage is equal to 30% of your anomaly power. So higher the anomaly power that you have, the higher that this percentage is going to be. The third perk on this is Vaccinated. Obviously, I want to change this out, but you should always be vaccinated, y'all. Moving on to our gloves, I'm using the Concussor's gloves. This has max health, cooldown reduction, skill, life leech. Obviously, you should be able to change that max health out for something else if you can on like purple gloves. But the perks that I really like for this is the Concussive Force. This will pretty much be your highest damage all the time with this setup. Your melee skill deals 25% more damage in a 50% bigger range. So essentially just turns your melee into just an absolute, nuclear bomb. It's absolutely crazy. I added martial arts on there. It actually comes with the gloves. I took it off and then I put it back on because it is super valuable for this setup. Reduces the cooldown of our melee by 50%. And then it came with double jump. Obviously, that's going to be super beneficial since we're using our gravity leap. And then finally on the boots, I use the martial boots. It has max health, cooldown, skill, life leech. Same thing again, guys. Try to mimic that as much as you humanly can. But these have despair, which is going to be that ×2 anomaly damage to targets that are inflicted by our gravity leap. Absolute must. Unstoppable force, another absolute must. Increase our anomaly power by 50% of your resistance piercing. Obviously, strong armor with anomaly is going to help boost that up, so it's just going to continuously increase our anomaly power. Typically, I see about 5 million AP power with this, just on the regular while fighting. And then the final perk is life absorption. I get some health whenever I hit people with gravity leap. Definitely would change that out for something else, but it works for this setup. Thanks so much for checking out the video. Hope you guys really enjoy it. Let me know some other setups that you're interested down below. Again, I'm probably not going to really do any concussor sets just because I just don't really think it's all that interesting. I definitely think we have better chance of finding other combinations with maybe some like Size of Commander instead of using that for melee. So definitely wouldn't do that. And again, make sure you're checking out the homies Quag as well as Code Emergency over on Twitch. They're definitely streaming some Outriders and Wonderlands and all that stuff right now, so show them some love. We will be having a couple different videos coming up the next couple days, some top 5s talking about different weapon mods as well as my favorite expeditions in the game. Let me know again down below, what are some expeditions you might like if you've gotten to this point of the video. Again, melee is pretty cool. Using different mods from different setups that are kind of odd and weird and all that stuff are very cool. Definitely don't like the fact that the Arbiter likes to completely ignore my endless mass all the time, but luckily Despair tends to pick up the the slack on that. But regardless, make sure you follow me over on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch at Byrdman778. We're again streaming every single day right now, starting at noon Eastern Standard Time, so swing on by, vibe out, hang out, do the collaboration with us. Make sure you're giving a thumbs up, commenting down below, and make sure you're following me over on twitter.com/Byrdman778 for updates on the channel and just bad memes and stuff like that. Again, some new announcements coming up here soon, so just make sure you're staying tuned. But regardless, thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you have a great night, day, whatever it may be.